All right, mate, how you doing? So, my name is Oliver. I used to be a nice guy. I used to be a people pleaser. I used to have no backbone. I used to have no assertiveness whatsoever. And hey ho, would you believe it? I used to be in relationships with women that were emotionally abusive slash toxic. I want to give you some hope today that if you're going through a period of intense sort of emotional turmoil related to your relationships with women, maybe you've identified that you have some nice guy patterns, some nice guy tendencies. Maybe you have noticed that you are craving validation. You seek approval to such an extreme degree. You don't know who you are. Maybe you lose yourself in relationships. Maybe you enmesh. Maybe you're avoidant. Whatever the case is, I want to give you today hope. That's what I'm giving you. I want to tell you right away that recovery is possible. I want to tell you that healing is possible. I want to tell you that you are very close, some of you, to breaking through and to being in relationships with women where you feel respected, where your needs are prioritized, and most importantly, where you don't have to play a role and you don't have to wear a mask. All right? So today, I'm going to give you 5 signs that you are recovering from the nice guy syndrome, from the mask, from people pleasing, from the deep emotional wounds that give rise to this kind of stuff. These signs come from my own life, as well as the lives of many of my clients. So the first one is that you say no without over-explaining yourself. You will know that you are currently in the process of recovery when you notice yourself say no to things without that compulsive, no, but oh, I'd love to, but actually I can't do that, and this is the reason why. You start realizing that no frees you up, that no is healing, that no is necessary, and you start to shed the shame that drives you to feel like you have to apologize just for setting a boundary with somebody, just for saying no to a request. You start realizing that no is a complete sentence. When a client of mine reports to me that he starts saying no to people, oh my God, Oliver, I said no to that thing and I didn't ever explain myself, I will know that we are making progress. The no starts to feel natural because by this point you're embodying the truth. That your boundaries are there to honor your time, your energy, and your values, and your boundaries are necessary, they're not a burden. 2, the second sign is, mate, you stop seeking approval and validation for every decision. One of the key things that I notice when I start working with a new man is this chronic sense of indecisiveness. He's always looking for someone to validate what he's up to, what he's doing, what his interests are, what he likes, what he dislikes, although, to be honest with you, he never actually says what he dislikes. He's looking for validation because he doesn't trust his gut. Because when he was younger, for some reason, his environment, his caregivers, the people in his environment gave him the message that his needs don't matter, his opinion doesn't matter, his thoughts don't matter, he is a burden, his needs are a burden. And he grew up with that belief that his gut, his intuition, his frame of reference is not important and cannot be trusted. Therefore, he starts seeking validation for literally everything. So recovery means trusting your gut. Recovery means being able to tolerate the emotional tension that comes from potentially letting people down and disappointing people, which is something that nice guys fear worse than death, upsetting people. When you stop being such a nice guy, you realize you start prioritizing your own path in life and your own direction and your own self-validation over the validation of other people and being liked by people. You start seeking and craving and sitting into respect. Self-respect first, which then comes from other people, and you let validation go. And this makes you decisive, it makes you a leader. It means that when you say you're going to do something, it means it's as good as done. And then you develop that sense of basic trust that stands independent of validation from absolutely anybody. Sign number 3, you feel discomfort and you don't run from it. Nice guy syndrome, people pleasing, is inherently an anxiety-based syndrome, an anxiety-based condition. It's an avoidance strategy, all of it. The nice guy syndrome, people pleasing, is there, it exists, it's a mask that you wear to avoid discomfort. And what discomfort are you avoiding? You're avoiding anxiety. When you start to notice yourself recovering, one of the telltale signs of that is that you're willing to have uncomfortable conversations. You're willing to stand in the possibility of being rejected by a woman in the street when you go and talk to her. You're willing to have an uncomfortable conversation with your spouse, with your girlfriend, with your wife, where you actually say something to her about what you need. You initiate a difficult conversation about something that's not working out for you in the relationship. You step into the emotional tension that comes from being vulnerable, which is something that all the red pill guys and a lot of other guys in the manosphere space really avoid like the plague. All the stuff about money, all the stuff about shitloads of women, all this stuff that they're projecting out into the world, it's all an avoidance strategy to avoid discomfort and vulnerability. That's what it is. But when a nice guy finally starts recovering and healing, you start being able to tolerate standing in the fire. This builds self-trust also, because you're able to lead yourself and your life isn't being driven by a desire to compulsively avoid uncomfortable feelings anymore. Sign number 4, you notice yourself saying what you really think. Nice guys hold back what they really think, because anything that comes up to say that doesn't fit into the nice guy paradigm, he has to edit out. So let's say you're in a social situation and you have some controversial stuff that you'd like to say. Maybe someone at a party is saying a bunch of bullshit you don't agree with. A nice guy, because he's adopted the nice guy self-image, has to be nice all the time, right? But let's say that guy, actually something comes up where it's like, actually I don't agree with that guy, actually I think he's talking shit. He's never going to say that in a million years if he's a nice guy, because that doesn't fit with the nice guy mask that he's wearing. This leads to an emotionally exhausting amount of self-monitoring, self-editing, constantly looking at, constantly like editing your own thoughts and feelings. It's as if you've got a big filter internally that all these thoughts and genuine opinions and who you really are has to be passed through in order to make it to the other side into the world. Now this forms a kind of what we call split attention, where half your attention is on your own head, or maybe 80% of it is on your own mind, the other 20% of it is out there, and this is extremely emotionally taxing because you're all over the place. Your attention's here and there, and you're constantly editing yourself, and it's goddamn tiring. Sign number 5, you start prioritizing yourself without feeling guilty for it. One of the most common things that nice guys tend to present to me, and one of the most common things that I used to have, is this feeling that if I'm prioritizing myself, I'm being selfish, and to be selfish means to be a bad person. This is not true at all, because the truth is you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that guilt that comes up about being selfish actually comes from the same paradigm that was formulated in childhood, which you receive the messages from your environment that are telling you that your needs don't matter. Your needs don't matter. That's what was told to you when you were a kid. That was told to me when I was a kid. You don't matter. Your needs don't matter. You should not prioritize yourself. You should be a good boy. You should not prioritize yourself. Well, as an adult, you start to realize, screw that. That doesn't work. That doesn't make you happy. That doesn't work at all. It's not a good strategy for getting your needs met. You start in a guilt-free way, you start prioritizing what's right for you. You start prioritizing your needs. And you start prioritizing getting what you want, you start prioritizing your happiness in life, you start letting go of all the validation of all the other people that don't really matter to you, and you start truly saying, what do I need? What do I want? What kind of life do I want to build? What kind of man do I want to be? Recovering from the nice guy syndrome is not loud, it's not huge, it's not in a massive grand gesture, it's quiet, it's subtle, and it's powerful. It's like water on the surface of rock. Water shapes rock over the course of a long time, and it does so in a very subtle way, but it does so in a very powerful way. That's what recovering from the nice guy syndrome is like. Every time you say no, every time you speak your truth, every time you allow yourself to stand into emotional tension without running away, every time you prioritize your own needs without guilt, every time you refrain from over-explaining yourself to other people, that's a crack in the rock. And you need to accumulate as many cracks as possible over time, and eventually this sort of nice guy shell will break for good, and who you truly are underneath it will shine through, and you'll be that in the world permanently, and you will feel amazing for it. Your anxiety will shoot down, your relationships will become authentic, your relationships will feel fulfilling, you'll feel seen, and you'll be able to see another person. You'll have the capacity for that now. And that's all that's possible on the other side, mate. So the first thing I want you to remember is hope, man. You might think you're too broken. No, you're not. And that is a hill I will fucking die on. I don't care who you are. You are not too broken to heal. I thought I was too broken to heal. I wasn't. And neither are you. Do you understand? So mate, I hope that video helps. If you're interested in going further and making 2025 the year where you finally bust these fucking nice guy patterns and stop being a people pleaser and start being the authentically confident, unapologetic and assertive man you know you can be, my program is called Pleaser to Leader. 12 weeks to go from being a people pleaser to being an authentically confident leader in your life. Click the link in the description down below. Check out the page, see if it's right for you. Book a call with me, we'll have a talk about it, and we'll see where we go from there, all right? Happy New Year, brother. Have a good one. You deserve it. Stay courageous.